Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. All right. All right. So, gapping up a little bit on economic news, more inflation news. So, where are we at? Slightly above, and I think reaching a destination here with not that there has really been any real momentum. It's been a grind, an erratic grind, but some increase in momentum here. Good morning, Fabio. Gap up, gap up. So while I wouldn't say increasing momentum, certainly an increase in enthusiasm that things are okay as we get closer to a resistance point versus these overlapping bars. Big up, big down, gap reversal, and so on. And now a little gap up. And notice, yesterday the candle body on SPY, how small it is. That's another um, indication of momentum slowing, but there was buying on the dip toward the top of that bar, which we spoke about as a probable point where buyers would step in. So again, getting closer to what's to the left, obvious place of resistance. We talked about this potential head and shoulders yesterday, or whether it flips back up to the top of the range, we'll see by next week sometime. It is the end of the month. It's the end of the quarter. So typically you're not going to get any big selling, as things have gone up. Something, what's called window dressing, maybe even the things that have been doing well will get bought today. Funds showing that they owned them at the end of the quarter. And then as we get into the following month, I think we'll get a clearer view next month as to whether this momentum starts to roll over or not. Yesterday we spoke about breadth, the improvement in breadth, which is a good thing. Sentiment is still neutral, so there isn't that over enthusiasm versus, on a sentiment. So we don't have any sell signal here with the two of these matching. So that's a plus for, the long side, but things need to, I think, consolidate near that resistance area. And so I don't think things will move all that much today. And you can see that, the spike up on the news and the pull back towards support. Now it's moving back up again. Pretty slow, methodical pace. Second here. We look at the futures. So another concept, right? Different things that we have that guide us as to historical probabilities as what prices are going to do. So another one is a greater than 100% retracement. As prices make a turn and retrace above prior swings, which you can see here on the futures, that momentum typically slows down. Now, slows down, that's a thought. That's not a fact. So what we need to actually see is a turn, a topping tail, just a narrow range bar. It's too early in the day to say that this is going to be a narrow range bar. So, but it is narrow right now compared to the ones that preceded it. So we'll see where that is at the end of the day. So it's another concept to keep in mind that it has taken out that resistance area, which is a good thing, right? As far as taking out a supply area, but momentum typically slows. Now, if right, if it can pull back, go sideways here, we do have room to go up. And you'd say, well, what about all of this? Well, obviously it is there, but the way prices have come down, they bottomed out. And if you look at this, you can kind of see, right, the head and shoulders kind of a bottom here. And now it's clearing the neckline. We look at the chart from this point of view. And so while that's a plus, it's still a greater than 100% retracement. So some consolidation here. It's above the moving averages. That's a good thing. They're starting to turn up. That's a good thing. And now we'll just see, how this plays out. So, positive, still sideways trading ranges within trading ranges from a longer point of view. So we're not getting, wildly bullish here, but clearly improvement. We've seen the tech stocks do what they did. One of the things we spoke about yesterday was the hourly chart being extended. And you could see things didn't really go anywhere yesterday, and they're just consolidating so far. Probably continue to do that today. SPX. Now, as things are moving up, Jake's got 4110. Is there juice there by now? Because there wasn't before, but I definitely would want to be above 4100. 4110. No, there's nothing at 4110. 4100. So there's 4100 and there's a large open interest at 4100 expiring today. So that should provide a resistance area. And so the ranges have contracted a bit over the last few days. And just looking at the average range over the last few days would put, let's say, if they could continue to move up from yesterday's close, would put it around 4100. So ideally above 4100 should be a no-brainer. Jake is saying, Jake and McGraw saying 4105. That I agree with. If it continues to move up, 4105 will increase in premium, and that I think would be as close to a no-brainer as you're going to get today. Now, the downside, which you would think is a no-brainer, but down near 4,000, right, would be ideal. Since that has been resistance, that would be support. There's a large open interest at 4,000 expiring today. And there isn't that much premium there, but if things should take a dive, right, shortly after the open, and there's premium down there at 4,000 or below, go for it. And so pretty good range, good numbers. Yesterday's low, good below yesterday's low. A little too tight, that's why you're McGraw and I'm Greg, but but I would tend to agree. All right. So there you go. So here again, greater than 100% retracement. You see the narrow range, momentum slowing there. Not enthusiastic for something big to happen. There was the spike on the news and kind of petering out already, but it's had a good run. It's a great consolidation. So this gives such a clear line in the sand that this bullish price action should not be violated anytime in the near future. And any retracement, and you can see it could retrace because this is the run, right? That's the run, those bars. There is room for this to fall, but it shouldn't do it. Meaning you've got a swing here and kind of like in between these areas of support. And then you've got, this most immediate pivot right there. It looks like yesterday's low. So what we want to see, if this should play out in the coming days into next week, is that buyers begin to step up in this area. You want to see bullish price action, common sense. Dow futures getting deep into the big red bar. It's still, this is a mess. Big red bar, the void just waiting below, nothing to stop it from dropping. Wouldn't say this is totally out of the woods, but coming up to the 50 MA right there. Let's see where that lines up with the cash Dow. So 50 MA up there. We don't see much data here, but you want to have an alert there, even though there's nothing to the left. 3,300 should be a sticking point, and the top of this bar there has to be a pivot on the smaller time frame. Yeah, you can see it right there. When you see one bar, excuse me, one bar like that, where it's got a lower high to the left and a drop like that, you're going to find a pivot on a smaller time frame, a sticking point. So on the Dow, that could be where it opens and has a hard time at that pivot. Now, there isn't a lot of resistance there per se because it dropped so far and back up again, but it's reaching a whole number and a prior point that it fell very sharply from. So it would make sense for it to stall there. And it did stall yesterday and just didn't go anywhere. All right. The Russell, just chopping sideways there, the underperformer. Um, and I'll just point out, we typically don't look at that, but since it's in the news, financials didn't continue their move up yesterday. Not that they had much of a move up, but a gap reversal and it stalled immediately. So keep an eye on this, and it could be an indication that everything's okay if it can get back up to yesterday's high. That would be a plus, and there are those out there that, believe that this is just starting. And from a technical point of view, I would agree with that because this is the beginning of a move. And after things get mini climactic, so to speak, a lot of times they can pop up toward the 20. This hasn't popped up at all. And that's bearish. And so when we were just talking about shallow pullbacks and buyers stepping up on the equity markets, and that the idea there is about creating new support. Now, this is creating new resistance. So you want to keep an eye on this and just setting an alert down near the lows and above the highs. And you can see the consolidation. If it can clear this, the markets may really take off, and down below, vice versa. Let's see. Oh, interest rates. One thing you point out, there has been an improvement. Now, notice these numbers here. This is the 30-year. It's above the 10-year now. So that inversion, that has improved. You still got the 5 still above the 30 and the 3-month higher, but there has been a slight improvement. We'll see, how that develops, but some change there from what was. And what's our transports? What are they doing? Coming off of the low, they got cracked pretty good. I think it's going to continue with, erratic price action, and, tech will get bought again as long as interest rates stay relatively low, even though, they may correct. And I saw some of them were down a bit. Leaders like NVIDIA was down a little bit a little while ago. So some profit taking. We may look back on this next week and see that this is an M top. We'll see. It is extended, but it's had a very nice controlled advance. Mike saying, wonder who is buying all the bonds. Oh, I don't know. We don't know. But that doesn't help us. I guess we all wonder things like that. But look, these are hanging here near this support. And the question is, do they break this support or do they start advance back up toward the top of the trading range? So this is, going nowhere for the moment. And where's the dollar? That's down here near support. So do interest rates flip up, which the market hasn't liked? Does the dollar flip up? And yesterday we spoke about the volatility index. So while things are up here today, there are reasons to be concerned going into the second quarter that there can be a correction of what happened at the beginning of the year. So we'll see how that unfolds. You can see silver continues its bullish advance and it's reaching its destination. And gold, bit of a wild trading range there. So this is just to point an example of the idea of a greater than 100% retracement. Prices pull back to support. They advance above a prior high and momentum stalls. Doesn't mean collapse. It just means that it's likely to stall. Oil coming up into what I'd call the sell zone, after a break and coming up toward the 50 and resistance. And, Bitcoin still hanging in there. A bit of a rejection yesterday. It's at this resistance area. So as we always point out, everything's about, looking to the left, seeing where support is, where resistance is, and what the trend is, and we'll see how it all comes together. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, we'll see if we can find some zero DTE trades. We usually find much more during earnings season. And the premiums with the VIX so low just hasn't been juicy. It's been hard. And that's why Greg does the SPX, but 10x levered instrument. So yeah, yesterday I said over today's high, I think we were going to go one more update. I was still bullish. And remember last Wednesday, MT Live relative strength concepts. The fact that we've now recovered this entire, because this bar was the SIVB collapse right here, not this one. And we've recovered it. So the markets, just like I said yesterday, I think we're ignoring the Fed rate hikes because they were just bullish and don't care about it. They were putting blinders on. I think they're doing the same thing right now, thinking the worst is over, government will bail it out. We were looking at a couple banks yesterday that, we had a long discussion saying, man, oh man, this looks like the next shoe to drop. Here it is, MCB. Look, wow, that's a nice gap up today. And the out of the money, we had a long discussion. The implied volatility before the April expiration is greater than the price of the stock. I've never seen that in my life. And so it's priced for being the next shoe to drop. And it's up huge right now. So whoever sold some of those puts, I know McGraw did, should be up very nicely. But yeah, I said XLF and KRE were not rallying, and that's just amazing that the market's been so strong, particularly Qs, semis, etc. So yeah, semis are extended. I noticed Greg mentioned NVIDIA down. I saw AMD or MU spiking down here for some reason this morning, all the way to 60 and change. That's an ugly reversal. I mean, this was a bull. This was on my list for a bullish 1, 2, 3 with a bullish weekly monthly. And so now that's in question, but AMD's on my list too. Buy setup, let it chop around and see if we can get, we just call it a bullish retest. I have no idea the flavor of the retest. Nobody knows until it happens. But that is on my bullish list to see if I can get a retest. We have AI core long. We're actually short the 27 calls that expired today, so I'll be looking to roll those. Let's see if there's any of these earning stocks, and then I'll go through my just watch list. So trading range here, gapping up, nothing to do. RUM gapping a 10 and change. That's bullish gap to the top of the range. Watch it on a pullback. BB gapping down, no interest. IONQ gapping up to 5 and change. That could be a buy on a pullback. Keep it on the list. I see one print at 16. That's on a power downtrend. I can't tell where you're gapping, but downtrend. Now this one I would have loved if it opened flat and then traded over yesterday's high, because this is a 1, 2, 3. that then, I got this red bar. But now it's gapping down. We'll come back, see if it bounces. I don't like the way that trades. $2 stock. Garbage, light volume. Same. That looks like it's going to zero. Same. I thought I cleared these out. Wow, look at the daily ranges of this. If these tails are real, I guess, well, 11th, I thought I cleared these out, you all. Sorry. I had no volume. All right, all right, we're done with earnings. So I got made it. Well, I got a couple there. We'll come back at 10 o'clock, but I have no tier ones. So just a couple on our watch list from yesterday. Airbnb, made the retest here at the 50 MA, bullish weekly. Duolingo. Sam, I might win our bet. It's going to hit 135 before 140. Thing's been on a tear, but this Massey is a beautiful trading range consolidation. XLF, KRE, Nikola's doing a big secondary offering. That just tells me Telegram. I didn't have it open. All right, thanks. That tells me that you are in trouble. I mean, you're in a death trend, and now you're having to go to the, you go to the, you either go to the equity markets or the debt markets. And many people have to go to the equity markets because they're unable to go to the debt market. So that I would stay the heck away from Nikola. All right, Raul, asking about CHX. I don't know what to do with this. It's a big mess. It is a sell setup at the 20, but it's a deep retracement. Set an alarm yesterday's low. Halliburton and low. Yeah, I mean, it's down a lot, but sure, it's a sell setup at resistance and it's gapping up, so it won't trigger unless it's weak. I don't like sell setups when they come from square bottoms. That's the same reason I don't like buy setups from square tops. So I like your Halliburton the best. Where was it? SWKS. Top of the range, but it's a long watch. MDB, light, well, it has 800,000, but it's kind of a inverse head and shoulder. We had a 1, 2, 3 on the weekly. VIPS, it's up 1570. It looks higher. I just don't like those wide daily ranges. Scalise here is a over-the-counter stock with 4 decimal places. So double bottom, gapping down. So yesterday's high would be fine if that's your bag of wick, or however they say it. I say wheelhouse. Okay, then we'll come back to that. Ether, that was an earnings stock. MPW. And you're a dog. Nuss, you're a dog with fleas, we used to say. Remember in the internet days in the day trading room? That's what people would say. You're a dog, and then some other guy would pipe up with fleas. Alex, remember we traded this GNRC way back in here? We nailed this thing. Had a nice run. Wow, 40 to 140. I mean, 90 to 140. Up and down here, 107. Yeah, it's a bearish weekly, monthly. I actually could be a call spread over if there's any premium yesterday's high. Nikolai said stay away. Let's go up here now. All right, Frick. This was another one. I'm saying it looks like it's on the possible chopping block. I was reading in the journal today that the bank borrowing from the Fed's new window to try to stabilize it is slightly less than it was last week, but it was still monstrous, 155 billion. So I surely don't think the banking crisis is gone. But I think it's just going to depend on what how much the Fed backstops them. Car, day trade long. Yeah, let's see, gap and deep into this red bar with a price void. We'll keep an eye on it, sure. I'll put it in this bottom right. We don't need RH anymore. Knock alarm. A knock alarm, retest, deep retracement going sideways, price void. Possible 30-minute high. I looked yesterday for put spread. There was no juice. The AD line and tick are both rocking on this gap up, despite the Qs and spiders pulling back from their pre-market high. IWM's kind of been opposite of the Qs all week. You got a nice gap here in the IWM. Let's say it closes right here. It's not a 1, 2, 3 because yesterday's a red bar, not a green bar. But if it closes here Monday over yesterday's high, looks great. Greg Box was on your list the other day. My alarm just went off. It's a CLIMA with bottoming pattern, gapping over these two. This I like. Let's maybe 5-minute high. Let's watch this 5-minute high. The only hesitancy is if the markets, are up 4 days now instead of nailing the turn, and this thing didn't bounce. All right, I'm going to give it 5.